Howdy y'all, Fuzzy Biker here in one of Baxter Cycle's backroom shops in the mighty metropolis of Marnie, Iowa. Check this hot rod out. This is a very unusual, very rare motorcycle, probably one of the rarest out there. This is a 1932 Triumph All Sport, I think is what he called it. And we don't know of any other one in existence. I've searched the internet. They've searched the internet. They've had this bike. They've owned this bike for years. I did find one article online about the motorcycle. I think it was written in '99 or way back when, anyway. And it was about the fellow that had owned it, that had sold it to another guy that was a restorer. And so what is it? It's a single-cylinder sloper. They call it a sloper. 500cc engine. Cam down here, overhead valves, two valves, an exhaust valve, and an intake valve. There's the carburetor right there. It's got two exhaust pipes. That's more of a style thing than it was a practicality. So, you know, if you look at this side, there's a big old pipe there, nice, good-looking motorcycle. And then the same thing over here. You know, very stylized. This was kind of the beginning of the... so before this point, Triumph had sold, or motorcycle companies would sell race bikes, and then they would sell the practical motorcycles. This was in 1932. This was kind of the bike that crossed that line, kind of the home sport tour motorcycle, so to speak. You know, the fast motorcycle that was made for the homeowner, you know, the private owner. So again, it has a high lift cam. It's got stronger valve springs. It's got a special magneto or carburetor also. I think it's got a different carburetor than the stock bike would have had. Let's get a look at that and down there. Check that out. That was high performance back in 1932. There's the cylinder right there. Cylinder, and then the head, somewhere in there, there's a line, probably right there. So from here down is the cylinder, from here up is the head. Oh, you can see the valve springs. I'll be. I didn't realize that, huh? I thought I looked it over pretty good. Okay, here's another one right here. See that? So it was exposed valves. Very interesting. That would have been kept this bike covered in oil as you rode it. Anyway, it was also the first year for the foot shifter. If you look at this fuel tank, it still has the mounts for the hand shift. So the first year of the foot shifter, kind of a mousetrap looking thing here, you know, all kinds of doodads and stuff like that. And anyway, kickstart of course only. Just look at that. Very interesting. 4-speed transmission. It's a dry sump engine, but the oil sump was on the front of the engine right here. So this is actually the oil tank cast into the crankcase. You know, very different design. One of these is the magneto, the other one is the dynamo to produce the power. It would have been a 6-bolt motorcycle. I think the battery is right there, so that'd be the battery. Some sort of primitive rectifier maybe, or something like that right there. I think that's what that is. But look at this, you know, it's got a cover over here to make it look better, you know. It's got all kinds of things that are for aesthetics, you know, the chrome tank, look at that, very, I hate to use the word sexy, but that is a very sharp tank, isn't it? Very good looking tank. This is a logo. This is also the logo for the Triumph cars. So at this point, 1932, Triumph cars and Triumph motorcycles was the same company. That split up later. Boy, you get a really good angle at it here. So it's a rigid frame on the rear. So this is the whole rear suspension here besides the tire. Check that out. There's the air pump right down there. If you get a flat, you have to pump the tire up, you know, fix your flat and then pump the tire up. That is the rear. You know, it's got the back set center, or back stand, I guess it would be called, not a center stand. Spoke wheels, of course, painted. Just a fabulous motorcycle. Drum brake on the front. I think there's a drum back here too. Yes, it's on the other side. Interestingly, the back drum looks larger than the front drum. So there's the rear drum. Linkage right there. There's the electronics of the day to control the tail light. If I can reach the pedal or not. That should be moving. I can't see, so it should all be moving. The brake is on the left side, of course. Isn't that just neat as heck? That's how you adjust your chain. Just a gorgeous piece of art. So, you know, I Bikes older than this, I call them the pencil line bikes. They're drawn with a pencil, nice straight lines, things like that. I did a video on Excelsiors, 1908, 1910 Excelsior. I also did a video on a 27 Indian recently. Those are all pencil line bikes. The Indian was kind of on the cusp, but you know, this is beyond that. This is stylized now. We've got curves, we've got beauty plates and covers, you know, and just all kinds of, you know, the dual exhaust pipes when you only have one cylinder. You know, we've got all kinds of good things going on here to make it look better. Look at this. Isn't that beautiful? Look at that front end. Okay, so this is a solid system here, and the actual mechanism, if you look right here, that's hinged and that's hinged. The spring hooks to the frame on the bottom right there, and then to the front of this on the front, and that allows this to go up and down, this section here to go up and down, and then this is solid all the way down. That's pretty neat, isn't it? Headlight, of course, amp meter right there. I can't see the brand name, but very nice. Look at that little, I can't read the words on there. Getting old, you know, I can't read so well anymore. This, look at this, Triumph 0 through 11. Just fabulous. You know, there is no speedometer. This is off a bicycle. That must be a speedometer for off of a bike. Let's see if we can spot a sensor for that. It's on this side, so I'm going to assume it's on this side too. There is a wire. Let's see. Here's a sensor right here. So right there is another on the wheel. So that's how they did speed on this one. That's actually a speedometer that they added. Somebody added. Here's your light control. Look at that. So probably off, daytime running light, regular light, and high beam, or something like that. You know, something to that effect. I don't know enough about these to give you an absolute answer on that. The license number from back in the day. Isn't it just gorgeous? Fender goes all the way down to keep you clean. Little skid plate down there. Check that out. Isn't that neat? This is how you check your oil or put your oil in. I don't know how you check it. Just a beautiful thing. So a dry sump means that the sump of where the engine is, where the flywheel is, doesn't have any oil. So there's a pump, an oil pump, probably right here, I'm guessing on that, the lowest point, that would pump the oil into the tank. And either this one or another pump would create pressure that would go to the critical parts of the engine, being the crankshaft, the cams, and the upper, you know, the valves on the top, give it some oil. As far as oil going back down, I'm not sure how that works because, you know, it's an exposed valve train. You know, this is a spring right here. I'm not quite sure how that works. You know, a little velocity stack on the carburetor right there. Just a little tiny carburetor, you know. Just a, this is a really interesting machine. Look at this right here. It says oil. Little cover there. Oil to put in on the back of your dynamo right there. Look again, the magneto right there. This right here, I think that's part of the brake system right here. Let's see if I got that right. No, it's not. That's down here. This must be part of the, you know, I really don't know what that's part of. Let me pull the clutch and see what we can learn. No, it's, clutch is that lever down there. I'm going to push the brake pedal. I can't see, so it doesn't matter, I guess. Okay, that's part of the shifting mechanism. That's part of the shifting mechanism. Interesting. Very interesting. So part of the clutch, part of the shifter. This is the brake mechanism over here. So from the other side where the brake pedal is, it comes across the frame to this point, and then back. I don't know if this is where you put the key in for the ignition, or if this was something added later. It looks like kind of a toolbox or something, but I can't really see where it hinges. Oh, right here on the front, there's a big hinge on the front. So this, if you hit that with a key, this would open like this. Interesting. Turn that. This was, I'd like to see that working. Light to the back. So this is the taillight right here, the whole taillight, that's a reflector. And then over here is the license plate light. Isn't that something? Back in 1932, that was a cool thing. Big old light. Passenger seat with springs. Again, that's your whole rear suspension right there. Really a nifty motorcycle, isn't it? Just all kinds of doodads here. Compression release, so you're going to go kick the bike. You got to get the piston in the right spot. You use this to relieve compression. You can also use that to, when the bike's running, if you want to, you pull up to a stop, you want it to shut off the bike, you'd pull the compression in. You'd release the compression by hitting that switch, and that would kill the motorcycle effectively. One of these is going to be, this is probably the magneto timing. This is most likely choke. Not sure what that is, maybe the horn. This might be high-lows. Again, I don't know for sure. Clutch, of course. Brake, I'm assuming. Let's look at the brake, and yep, there it is. You can see it working. Very nifty. Just a lot of beauty going on here, isn't there? A lot of style, a lot of, this is back in the day of, it is a pencil bike, but it's not, it's a stylized, it's very stylized, I love the tank. I'm not sure how this works here. So fuel goes in there. Not quite sure how that works. That looks like an oil line right there. I'm not sure what that would be for, or how that would, let's see where that goes. Looks like it might pump oil up for some reason. Not sure why. I know I read this was a sump, so maybe there's more to it than I realize. If anybody knows out there, let us know. Isn't this cool? All this, very neat looking stuff. This is all art to me. I just, well, I'm getting carried away. Y'all, this is quite a motorcycle, isn't it? Now, if y'all are interested in a motorcycle like this, a new used Royal Enfield Triumph Classic British bike like this, of any type, need parts, accessories, thingamajigs, doodads, Baxter Cycle is the largest vintage British motorcycle parts supplier in North America. They literally have buildings full of old motorcycle parts, new and old. By the way, look out here. We got a bunch of snow out there. Baxter Cycle can help you out. If they can't help you out, you're going to have a hard time finding it. Hit like and subscribe if you would. And if you're interested in more videos like this, please let me know. Put it in the comments. This is my favorite type of motorcycle holder, So life is good, my friends. If you don't have snow like we do out there, get out and ride. Wahoo!
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Wahoo! 3. Wahoo! Wahoo! Wahoo!